Rising stars all around, set to shine on TNT Sports on this Saturday night. No shortage of talent on show later. From Anthony Yarde, Sam Noakes, Tommy Fletcher, and that middleweight humdinger at the top of the bill tonight between Hamza Sheeraz and Liam Williams. And somewhere in the mix tonight, Richie, one of these two men wants to make a big step forward. Do you see Abdullah as the favourite starting out?
I think he is. Yes, I think his best win was actually his last contest against Mark Leach, who was obviously the former British Super Bantamweight champion. That was a good win for Abdullah. But he's in against a tricky guy here tonight, Kez Ashfaq. Worked with Kez up at GB, very skillful southpaw. So the problem for Abdullah tonight will be actually to close that gap down and get to Ashfaq, who, like I say, if he can maintain the gap, Ashfaq is very skillful. So it's up to Abdullah now to get on that front foot and actually close that gap down. It'll be interesting, this.
Feeling between them in the build-up, and I think one of the issues, Rich, will be which of the two settles down to work in the more professional manner, and we are beginning to look upon them in that light. I think when I started looking at this show this week, I said to myself, well, that's a cracking matchup between two young kids at roughly the same level. Then I looked again, and here they both are, 30 years of age, and it begins to feel like the moment when one of them is going to start to fall by the wayside, I think.
Yeah, and one's going to come through. Spot on, Paul. I think Ashfaq's just started slightly better. The pace is suiting him a little bit better because he's slowing it down. The key for Abdullah, he's got to quicken those feet up and make things awkward for Ashfaq by applying lots of pressure. If Ashfaq slows it down and maintains that gap, then he dictates things with the jab, and his hook is a great shot as well.
You've had your eye on his talent for many years, I know that, because once upon a time he was one of the hot medal prospects for the 2016 Olympic Games, Kez Ashfaq. It has not been a straight road since then, but he garnered no end of adulation and just about every amateur title that means something in this country. And that, I think, is why you had your hopes up, Richie.
Yeah, he was a very skillful lad, actually, for GB, and he won lots of medals for us. So he was beaten a couple of times by Michael Conlan of Ireland in a couple of good fights. Michael Conlan just had his measure, really, and sussed Ashfaq out. But nevertheless, Kez Ashfaq is a skillful operator, and Abdullah is finding that out here. And that's why I think the pace of this contest is crucial for both boxers, and Abdullah, he's got to quicken it up early on.
Abdullah very keen to tell everybody who would listen that he has prepared for the best of Ashfaq. There is that common form line, if you like. The win over Mark Leach for Abdullah. He thinks that's credit in the bank, but it's been a good start by Ashfaq.
What's your gut saying? Back away. Okay, stuck in. You've got the instincts. Now, get the training.
That's right. Keep pressuring him. He doesn't like it when you get inside. And that's fine. When you get there, work. But I don't want you taking big risks to get in there early, okay? Give him a couple rounds.
Welcome back, everybody. Just listening into the Masood Abdullah corner. Steve Broughton. Maybe just reminding Masood Abdullah that this is a real live one tonight. Kez Ashfaq has made a good start. And just a sense in the corner, Richie, for me, that they believed that Masood Abdullah had not made the very best of starts.
I think you're right, Paul. I think they sense that, and it's a little bit scrappy, isn't it? It's the orthodox southpaw situation where the front feet keep crossing and getting entangled. But I think Ashfaq just had the slightly better of that opening round, controlled that pace with that jab, and he hooks off his jab as well very well. And that's why there's got to be lots of head movement from Abdullah, doubling up the attacks and sustaining the pressure. You've got to deny him that space and that time, Ashfaq. That's what you've got to do against him.
That right hand thrown through the arc. And a Nice reply by Ashfaq down the middle. As Richie says, southpaw against orthodox, but it should not be an excuse at all for Abdullah tonight, Rich, because the last three now have been southpaws for him.
That's right. I mean, against Mark Leach can box very well as a southpaw. That was a good win against him. So, like I said, got to get on that front foot, double that jab up a little bit more and close that gap. There's that right hand. See, Ashfaq got to stay off the ropes. He's got to stay in ring space. And so he's got full sort of control of his movements. When he goes back onto the ropes, then his feet will come square, and then he becomes much more open and vulnerable. So he's got to, like I say, box in the ring space for Ashfaq.
One of these nights, it's all got to come right at the same moment. The synchronicity of that. That's what Kesh Ashfaq has lacked as a pro. Up and down. His defeat to Leach over 10. Way back in 2020 when the world was a slightly different place, of course, but very recently against Liam Dillon. And it's not really my business to say this, but what was he doing at super featherweight?
Yeah, exactly. The wrong way there. Again, bad ring position here for Ashfaq. He's got to move off that or bring his left uppercut into play. See those feet come square. Like I said before, he's a little bit more vulnerable. There's that left uppercut, wasn't too far away, but Abdullah he's had a better round here because he's realised that he's got to close that gap down, so he's got on that front foot. But that's nice boxing there from Ashfaq.
The right hand looks to be a potent weapon for Masood Abdullah, however. Just up the pace a little bit, as Steve Broughton was hoping that Masood Abdullah would do in this second round, and maybe start to fight at a pace and a tempo which is giving Ashfaq reason for concern. Getting a bit scrappy, isn't he, suddenly?
Yeah, it is getting a little bit scrappy. The referee's not too pleased here.
You pushed him with your knees.
Abdullah.
I'll start taking points off you. You can be slung out. Behave
This is
yourself.
similar in his amateur days at Kesh Ashfaq. Occasionally, he's got to be a little bit more robust and keep the opponents off with those long, hard, straight shots. He's a little bit vulnerable on the inside, and he gets thrown about a little bit here and there. So he's got to maintain the gap, and the way you do that is good movement with the feet, but hit hard with straight shots and maintain that gap.
If you think you are beaten, you are. If you think you'll lose, you lost. Success begins with a person's will. It's a state of mind.
Welcome back, everybody. Here's one of the stars of the show, or so he intends to prove once more. Big Tommy Fletcher arriving for duty later tonight. Loving life as an emerging talent, so explosive. Looking to keep a winning run going. Got a taller roof here at the Copper Box, which certainly helps when he's on the show as well.
Yeah. So tall for the weight, isn't he? He's a talent.
There's a little nick on the bridge of the nose of Kesh Ashfaq, Richie, as we start the third round. A sense that Abdullah was starting to find him and starting not to ragdoll him as such, but just to push him around a little bit and show who the boss really is.
Yes, that's given him confidence that second round. It was a much better performance from Abdullah. Ashfaq now has got to start bringing his left uppercut into play here, Paul. When Abdullah closes that gap down and then gets more into it, there it is there. So he's got to improve his accuracy, but that's the shot that he's got to concentrate on. Measure the gap with the with the jab, and then bring that left uppercut into play.
Ragdolls him to the floor this time, but it's not a telling off. There was a good telling off in the last round from Kieran McCann. For those who want to see Kesh Ashfaq prosper in this fight, I would say he still has those quick hands that used to dazzle at Team GB, doesn't he, Richie?
Yeah, he's a very skillful operator. Just occasionally in this contest, he's holding his feet and he's just finding himself in the wrong position. He's back onto the ropes, and that's when he's got to move. When Abdullah, that's That's a good shot, though.
Richie. That quick right hand, and Abdullah still on rather shaky ground here. Kes Ashfaq seeks to pour it on. A turning point potentially in the contest, but in the mind of Kes Ashfaq, what will that do for his belief that he can score a big victory at just the right time in his career tonight?
Yeah, peach of a punch, wasn't it? Straight left hand, he brought him onto it. Abdullah still coming forward. I don't think he's fully recovered from it. That was a good shot from Ashfaq, but Abdullah, fair play to him, he's coming back.
This is how we hope that they would trade tonight. There's a certain element of personal rivalry involved in this. Nobody wants to give a bit of ground or lose a little bit of face. Now that can be a very good thing or a very bad thing, and we're about to find out. Little by little, it seems as though Abdullah is beginning to recover his senses and his strength in his legs.
I think he has, yeah. For a good 20 seconds after that shot, though, he wasn't recovered. Took him a bit of time, but now he's on that front foot again, finishing the round stronger, actually. Ashfaq again looks a little bit ragged. Got to get his boxing back together. That was a good body shot there.
Twice
another one.
Replying in kind, but he's a knockdown behind in this round. Ashfaq right in the Abdullah corner. That's not going to earn a point. The blame is shared equally. I was just fearful for a moment for Abdullah's sake that he was going to get more than a telling off from Kieran McCann.
Yeah, I think Kieran McCann is having a word with both boxers. Wants them to clean that up a little bit, but tired at the end of the round here. Ashfaq looks.
Look at that wide stance of Ashfaq, Richie. He's setting himself as though he wants to throw that big right hand again. Tried it there. Sood just ducked underneath it. Well, the plot thickens here. What an intriguing opener it's developing into. I had hopes that he would do this, Rich, but I wasn't sure exactly what Ashfaq had left, to be very honest.
Yes,
I think we've had a few answers there.
Yep, super shot, wasn't it? Straight left hand, brought him onto it. And this is where he just couldn't get his accuracy together with the shots that followed. But there's a little clipping right hook also. Let's have a look. There's the left hand, there's the right hook. And Abdullah was in all sorts of trouble, so it's a great little combination there.
Steve Broughton trying to assess the damage.
Your head movement's good. Try and come back off it. But he come back to you. Even let him lead. Move your head. Boom, boom. Okay. 1 second, okay? Yes, sir. But it's got to be a little bit more tight. 10 seconds. The poke is nice. Keep using it.
Seconds out. Round 4.
The one important ingredient in that corner then, Richie, was how calm Steve Broughton was, because he's not been asked many questions in his whole career, Masood Abdullah, and suddenly he's about to find out a few more answers.
Yeah, good coaching in the corner, nice and calm, wasn't it? Very precise with his instructions. And he keeps targeting the body now, Abdullah. Right hand to the body, so he feels that Ashfaq's a bit suspect downstairs. This right hand, but he's got to get into that position, and it's avoiding the left hand from Ashfaq as he's coming forward is his problem. But the momentum seems to be back with him, Paul, on that front foot.
Abdullah trying to set himself in the centre of the ring. These flashy little moments on his toes, Richie, are the memories I have from the pre-Olympic days in 2014-15, when I know you thought of him as not a cert for a medal for Great Britain at the 2016 Olympics, but one of your best opportunities. It just never happened for him, and that's been the problem through his career all too often.
Yeah, he's allowed contests to slip away, because when he's up on his toes and he's moving like this, look, this is beautiful boxing from him, but it's keeping the opponent off. And then I think what happens also with Kes Ashfaq, he drifts mentally and then goes back onto the ropes, and then he's in a bad position and he's inviting the pressure. But when he's boxing in ring space, he hits and he moves. He's very good indeed.
That's intriguing, because more likely than not you're going to get away with it over the short trip in the amateurs.
Yeah.
But this is something very different indeed, as all boxing fans would know. Nonetheless, a sense of order restored by Masood Abdullah. He's tightened it up a little bit, straightened it up, worked from the centre of the ring a bit more intelligently in this round, and that means that Ashfaq's doing a lot more yardage to keep on going on the outside. heeding Richie's advice, not going into the corner. Didn't stop the right hand coming from over the top, Abdullah.
See Abdullah sort of sussed Ashfaq out now, looked down, he's pinning him onto the ropes into the corner.
It's a bit of a hammer. It's not going to count as a knockdown, that, Richie.
A little bit off balance, maybe. Abdullah certainly didn't agree with it.
Plenty in the crowd didn't, actually.
You can see the pattern of the fight now. Abdullah gaining in confidence, coming forward. Ashfaq has got to concentrate on he's got to get off those ropes here. That's where you invite the pressure. Doesn't want to be there.
One or two signs of wear and tear around the face of Ashfaq as well. But a sense perhaps that Abdullah slightly the heavier-handed of the two. But the nice timing in the uppercut, a little glimpse of the skill set of Ashfaq. He's still in the contest.
Yeah,
Very much still in it.
that was a quality shot from Ashfaq there, that lead uppercut. Lovely punch indeed.
The hottest drop of 2024, the McSpicy and Frank's Red Hot collab. Let's unbox this bad boy, shall we? Just look at those golden breadcrumbs. Look at those jalapenos. They've even got cheese sitting under a sprinkling of fresh, crispy lettuce. Frank's Red Hot mayo. Yes! Look at it there, doing the absolute most. Box fresh.
Cut short down the middle, okay? Put the right hook to the body on the end of it. Bend your knees and stay low. Down there, okay? Shoot again, shoot, bam, bam, okay, to the body, and out you go.
There's that right hand over the top there from Abdullah. There's Ashfaq just drifting mentally there and just going back onto the ropes, looking to the corner here, then takes a shot and another one. Doesn't need to be there, but good work from Abdullah on that front foot.
And they took every available second in that Kes Ashfaq corner there. Lee Beard is the #1 corner man tonight. Just trying to keep that focus. And Kieran McCann again asked both of them just to be a little more tidy and more respectful of each other.
It's all about concentration here. Abdullah got to keep, obviously, doubling up the attacks, sustaining the pressure and continuing with the attacks and trying to push Ashfaq back to the ropes. That's where he's vulnerable. For Ashfaq, he's got a boxing ring space. Hits a move. See again, back on the ropes. It's a bad place to be.
There's a bit of work in the corner for Ray Doyle to do, actually, on Ashfaq. Will the pressure start to build? And Richie is in a case to a degree with Ashfaq of it building inside his head as the round goes on. He's given a fair display of his abilities, perhaps some of his best work in recent times, but Abdullah seems to be marching onto him. And there is a count this time. There is a count.
But he tends to go to the canvas very easily, Kes Ashfaq. He's not robust enough in this contest. And, the referee has decided that's a count. That may make him stay on his feet a little bit longer, because this will be a 10-8 round for him.
He was greeted by some ironic cheers. Many felt that the previous one was, and the pressure's definitely starting to build now on Ashfaq, who had his moments earlier on, but he seems to be wilting here. Masood Abdullah is getting well on top. He tightened up his game, perhaps found another gear, and it's starting to show. He was right on the end of that rope. Ashfaq's quickly up on his feet, bounced up, maybe a little bit actually missed Richie. It seemed at the outer extent of the right fist, didn't it, from Abdullah?
He seems to be so exhausted, Ashfaq. Abdullah senses it.
Oh, that's a clean one. The towel comes in, and the job is done, and a little bit of spite pre-fight is seen, I'm afraid, at the end of it again. The personal elements to it remained right to the finish. A clean finish, a very, very good win for Masood Abdullah, who came through some treacherous early territory tonight to really put on a show, on this big show at the Copper Box. And Kes Ashfaq up and down throughout his career in the bigger picture, up and down in the ring here tonight, which kind of reflects everything, I'm afraid, that has played out over the last few years. So the big step forward is taken by Masood Abdullah, one step after another in this fine young man's life, from the most forbidding of backgrounds, a family of refugees who had to walk across Europe to find refuge in the United Kingdom. His first night of his life in a new country here was spent in a jail cell with his family, and he has made the most remarkable journey since.
Yeah, tremendous work here from Abdullah. Really senses the victory, and eventually the towel comes in. But before that, some real good work on that front foot with the pressure, with the right hand especially. There seemed to be a pattern in most of the rounds. Kazashvak, for the first minute of the round, seemed to be in control. But as the round went on, it was Masood Abdullah who gained the confidence and pushed on that front foot, got him into the corners, got him onto the ropes, and did his best work. That's a good win against a skillful operator in Kazashvak. So well done, Masood Abdullah. That strength on that front foot really has paid dividends tonight.
Ashfaq, looks like all is well. I'm happy to report that. But the big headline from this featherweight contest tonight, again, he is 30, but in boxing terms, a very young 30. He's very young to professional boxing. It is only his 10th pro fight, but it is 10 straight wins for Masood Abdullah, 7 by stoppage. Of course, the jewel in the Queensberry crown at the moment, Nicky Ball. I described him, Richie, as perhaps the fastest rising young talent in British boxing right at this moment. He's certainly in the argument. He's got a world title shot. They've got Nathaniel Collins on the books as well. Great new signing potentially, British and Commonwealth champion. And suddenly, Masood Abdullah comes into the frame for the bigger jobs which lie ahead.
Ladies and gentlemen, here is the official time. 2 minutes, 2 seconds of round number 5. Your winner by way of technical knockout, still undefeated and Commonwealth silver featherweight champion, Supermass, Masood Abdullah.
So talk about a man who has overcome the odds. It's the kind of backstory that inspires people with a passing interest in boxing to become more interested. An extraordinary journey of courage and perseverance. He's built a life outside of boxing since being in the United Kingdom, but he's put that on hold. He's a very smart young man with a degree in business management, very nearly a first-class degree, I'm told, actually. And also very, very keen to complete his accountancy exams, but